Life in Amasiri evolved around the rhythms of the land and the blessings of the skies. For months, however, the skies had withheld their blessings, leaving the fields parched and the rivers dry. The people, desperate and fearful, turned to their elders who consulted the oracle, the mouthpiece of the gods. The elders gathered in the shrine, the air thick with incense and anticipation. The oracle, an old man with deep lines etched into his face, sat cross-legged before the altar. His voice, when he spoke, was like the rustling of leaves in a breeze. "The rain god is displeased," the oracle intoned, his eyes closed as if in communion with forces beyond. "But he is not without mercy. On the day when the sun is at its highest, rain will fall upon the land, and the earth will be renewed. But there is a condition. Every soul in this village must show kindness to all they encounter. Fail in this, and the consequences will be dire." The elders nodded gravely and left the shrine, spreading the oracle's message throughout the village. Hope flickered in the hearts of the people, and they prepared for the promised day with offerings and feasts. Finally, the day arrived. The sky, which had been a relentless blue for so long, began to darken. Clouds gathered ominously overhead, and the village square buzzed with anticipation. Women cooked, men sharpened their tools, and children danced in the streets, their eyes wide with excitement. The entire village prepared for a grand celebration, confident that the rain would come as promised. As the villagers celebrated, an old woman appeared at the edge of the square. She was hunched over, her clothes tattered and soiled. Her face was obscured by a tangle of unkempt hair. She shuffled towards the crowd, her hand outstretched in a plea for food and shelter. The villagers, caught up in their merriment, looked at her with disdain. "Who is this filthy wretch?" one man sneered, pushing her aside. "We have no room for beggars here." "Go away, old woman," a young mother snapped, pulling her child close. "You will bring bad luck with your dirty rags." Laughter erupted from the crowd as the old woman stumbled back, her eyes filled with pain. No one offered her a morsel of food or a place to rest. Dejected, she turned away from the village square, her heart heavy with sorrow and anger. As she walked towards the forest, the sky grew even darker, and the first drops of rain began to fall. The villagers cheered, raising their hands to the sky in gratitude, but their joy was short-lived. The old woman, now far from the village, raised her hands to the heavens and whispered ancient words of power. The rain, once gentle, turned into a torrential downpour. The villagers' cheers turned to cries of alarm as the rain became a deluge. "We need more shelter," someone shouted. "The rain is too much." But the rain god, disguised as the old woman, was not finished. She raised her hands again, and the downpour became a storm of biblical proportions. The rain pounded the earth, flooding the village, washing away huts and destroying the fields. The once celebratory crowd was now a panicked mob, scrambling for higher ground as the water rose rapidly. "What have we done to deserve this?" the villagers cried, and their voices lost in the roar of the storm. "We must have angered the gods." In their desperation, they sent a small party to the oracle, who sat calmly in his shrine, untouched by the flood. When the villagers arrived, drenched and shivering, they threw themselves at his feet. "Great oracle," they pleaded, "why has the rain god turned against us? We did as you said, but now we are being punished." The oracle opened his eyes and sighed. "Did you truly follow the god's command?" he asked, his voice heavy with disappointment. "Did you show kindness to all who came to you?" The villagers exchanged guilty glances, remembering the old woman they had so cruelly dismissed. "An old woman came to us," one of the elders admitted, "but she was filthy and ragged. We sent her away." The oracle shook his head. "That old woman was the rain god in disguise, come to test your hearts. You have failed, and now you must suffer the consequences." As the oracle's words sank in, the villagers realized the enormity of their mistake. They had mocked and rejected the very being they were supposed to honor, and now they were paying the price. Meanwhile, on the outskirts of the village, the old woman trod through the rain, her sorrow for the villagers battling with her anger. She was about to pass by a small isolated hut when a young woman emerged, her face pale and her clothes soaked through. Seeing the old woman, she hurried forward, her eyes filled with concern. "Mother, come inside," the young woman urged. "You catch your death out here in this storm." The old woman hesitated, but the genuine warmth in the woman's voice drew her in. She followed the young woman into the hut, where a small fire flickered weakly in the hearth. "Sit by the fire," the young woman said, helping the old woman to a seat. "I don't have much, but you are welcome to share what I have." She fetched a bowl of steaming hot porridge and offered it to the old woman. As the old woman ate, she observed her surroundings. The hut was sparsely furnished with little more than a few worn mats and a couple of clay pots. Yet, despite the meager condition, the young woman treated her with the utmost kindness and respect. "What brings you to this place, alone and in such a storm?" the old woman asked, her voice low and curious. The young woman sighed, her eyes darkening with sadness. "I was cast out of the village," she replied. "They accused me of a crime I did not commit. I have lived here on the edge of the village ever since. I am an outcast, but I cannot bring myself to hate them. They are my people after all." The old woman listened silently, a deep sense of pity welling up within her. She had come to destroy the village, but this young woman's kindness had touched her heart in a way she had not expected. Setting down her bowl, the old woman rose to her feet, and in an instant her frail form began to change. Her bent back straightened, her tattered clothes transformed into a shimmering robe, and her face became that of a mighty warrior, glowing with divine power. The young woman gasped, falling to her knees before the god of rain. "Do not be afraid," the rain god said, his voice booming like thunder. "Your kindness has saved you, and it may yet save your people." The young woman trembled, struggling to find her voice. "But the villagers, they are suffering. Will you not show them mercy?" The rain god considered her plea, his eyes softening. "They have been cruel and ungrateful, yet your kindness moves me. I'll give you a chance to save them. Take these two gourds," he said, handing her two small, intricately carved gourds. "With this, you will be able to stop the flood and save your people. But remember, it is not the gourds that hold the power, it's the kindness within your heart." Grateful beyond words, the young woman bowed deeply. "Thank you, great rain god. I will not fail you." The rain god nodded, a faint smile playing on his lips. "Go now and do what you must." With the gourds in his hand, the woman stepped out into the storm. The rain battered her, but she walked steadily, guided by an unseen force. As she approached the village, the floodwater swirled around her, rising over and higher, but the water parted before her, allowing her to walk on its surface as though it were solid ground. The villagers, huddled together in terror, watched in awe As the young woman approached, she seemed to glow with an otherworldly light, her steps sure and deliberate. The flood waters receded as she neared the village square, and the people whispered among themselves, their fear mingled with hope. "Is she a spirit?" one villager murmured. "No, it is Kambili," another replied, recognizing the young woman, the outcast. Reaching the village square, Kambili stood before the trembling crowd. Without a word, she knelt by the edge of the flood waters and dipped the first gourd into the water. Instantly, the gourd filled and the flood began to subside. The villagers watched in stunned silence as the water levels dropped, receding from their homes and fields. When the first gourd was full, Kambili set it aside and filled the second. As the second gourd filled, the last of the flood waters vanished, leaving the village dry and safe once more. A collective sigh of relief swept through the crowd, and the villagers fell to their knees, weeping with gratitude. They had been saved, and they knew that it was Kambili, whom they had wronged so grievously, who had brought them salvation. Kambili stood before them, her face calm and serene. "The rain god has spared you," she said softly, her voice carrying over the hushed crowd. "But remember, it was your unkindness that brought this disaster upon you. Let this be a lesson to all of us, to treat others with the kindness we wish to receive." The villagers nodded, their eyes downcast with remorse. They knew that they had been given a second chance, and they vowed to honor it. The following days were spent repairing the damage and rebuilding what was lost. Kambili, once an outcast, was embraced by the villagers with open arms. She used her knowledge of the land and her new role as a mediator to help the village recover. The villagers, deeply moved by the lesson they had learned, worked together with renewed dedication and compassion. The rains eventually returned to their natural rhythm, nourishing the fields and bringing prosperity back to the land. The village thrived once more, but this time with a deeper understanding of the importance of kindness and respect for all beings. Kambili remained a respected figure in the village, her story becoming a cherished part of the village's oral tradition. Her kindness had not only saved the village, but had also transformed its heart, ensuring that the old ways of animosity and exclusion were replaced by a spirit of community and mutual respect. And so, the village learned that the greatest blessing often comes not from the heavens, but from the kindness we show one another. The tale of Kambili and the rain god was passed down through generations, a timeless reminder of the power of compassion and the consequences of failing to heed the needs of those around us.